Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of VCTV. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. Today, we are going to be speaking about a very relevant topic in all of our lives, and especially in the blockchain and crypto industries, and that is play to earn and what is changing around the gaming industries and how non-fungible tokens or NFTs are all playing a role in this future of decentralized finance, gaming, and entertainment as well. We're going to be talking about memberships, gated access, new content, and onboarding and offboarding, so much more. I'm joined with some outstanding investors from around the world as a part of the VCTV family to share their thoughts and insights on this exciting topic. Now, play to earn, you may have heard originally referenced. However, we're going to be corrected on that in just a moment, but it has been more in the news around Axie Infinity and their major growth spurt they've seen over the last year around this new business model of being able to play and earn an income, where we're seeing individuals around the world that are actually earning a living playing games in a new way that we haven't seen traditionally through blockchain gaming. Again, we're going to correct a little bit of that here in just a moment. But before we do, a big thank you to the LaToken team, to Hasmik and Maria for making today's episode possible. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. Let's go ahead and introduce each of our guests today. Emmanuel, welcome to the show. A quick introduction and background for everybody, please.
Thank you very much, Kyle. Very nice to be here. My name is Emmanuel Ngubo. I am the Developer Relations Engineer at Aventis Network. We are a layer 2 blockchain solution built on Substrate. And I'm glad to be here to talk about gaming and future of gaming. Thank you.
Wonderful. Happy to have you as well. Alexis, welcome back to the show. A little intro and background, please.
Thank you. Alex Sheikh, MP of Supercap Digital, also part of DLT Capital. We have done 1 billion euros in DLT-related projects.
Wonderful. It's a pleasure to have you. Next up, Adrian, welcome. A little intro and background, please.
Thank you, Kyle, for the invitation again. Happy to be part of the VCTV LaToken Metaverse family, or family Metaverse. I'm Adrian Niculescu, serial entrepreneur and investor involved with the Cloudcoin Consortium. Cloudcoin is a post-blockchain digital currency. Cloudcoin Finance, a DeFi project built with both blockchain and post-blockchain technology. Part of DAO1, the decentralized autonomous organization. Also venture partner with Ventures, and also behind a little project for now, coincruncher.com, a news and education website about everything blockchain. We have an exciting topic today. We could speak for days about crypto gaming.
And that's what we're doing here on VCTV, continuing this subject as it is incredibly important. Gary Fowler, welcome back. A little intro and background for everybody, please.
Yeah, great to be here, and it's nice to be in the family verse. My name's Gary Fowler. I'm a serial entrepreneur and investor. I've done 17 companies. I've been involved in 2 unicorns. I was on the original management team at Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and also Yva.ai, an AI HR tech company that I co-founded with Dr. David Yang. Love artificial intelligence and quantum computing, crypto, blockchain. Amazing technologies are coming out to really democratize the world. I'm the CEO, president, co-founder of GSD Get Shit Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in Palo Alto, California. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Gary. Last but not least, Matthew, welcome back to the show. A little intro and background, please.
Yes, hello. I'm Matthew Merle, based in Silicon Valley, and blockchain co-investors is my focus. With the leading blockchain venture fund of funds, investors in about 300 or 400 blockchain companies and projects, and very big believers in the space. But for today, I will also mention that for 20 years, I've been a video game and virtual world investor as well. And so today's topic is very interesting to me. Back to you, Carl.
Thank you very much, Matthew. And everyone, and just to kind of set the stage, Matthew, I want to have you kick us off today with that experience that you have in both gaming and the DLT space. But before we do, I mean, we've got play to earn, again, this kind of new model brought back to life, if you will, and brought into the blockchain gaming space. We have more venture funds and a new term coming out focused on GameFi, bridging gaming with decentralized finance mechanisms as well. We had SoRare raise $680 million late last week. We had Dapper Labs close another $250 million and more and more and more in this world of blockchain gaming and NFTs. And just before today's episode, Tango Chain has launched a blockchain devoted entirely to gaming that allows players to earn profits and to create non-fungible tokens. That was a headline that we had just before this show, showing again the continued relevance of this. We have sports leagues, we have major gaming companies all getting into the space. But before I go any further, Matthew, paint us a picture where we actually are today. Where has this kind of come from your experience to where we are now?
Yeah, so thank you for asking, Kyle. And I'm going to just focus on the business model in answering that question. In gaming, in entertainment, we've gone through a lot of business models, and actually we have a lot that are operating simultaneously today. In the old days, you went to arcades, you put in some coin and you played. Later on, with PC and console games, you bought the game up front and you owned it. Then we went to subscription models when we had the first MMORPGs and virtual worlds as they came in later. We began to explore freemium models where some people were able to play certain levels for free, but then you had to pay to unlock additional levels within games. And then we started to see what we call this model of play to earn. And in the early days, that was really grinding. So, for example, when we had the first social games like the Zynga games, you would have to do something within the game. You would get points or coins within the game, and you would use them within the game for virtual items or to power up or to get other opportunities. What people began to appreciate was that the digital assets within the game actually could donate status and were valuable to other players. But we didn't have economies within the game, real money economies within the game. And so secondary markets grew up. And so, for example, for World of Warcraft, you could play within the game, earn benefits, and then go outside the game and trade those in for real money. And so a lot of people around the world started doing that. And that was the beginnings of play to earn, because your payoff was a real money payoff. And that's really what's happening now with NFTs. You play, you get an NFT perhaps, and if that NFT can be tradable for your local currency, then basically you're playing to earn. And just to put this into context, and then I'll close this off, but just to put this into context, if an NFT is worth $10, how hard would we work to earn those $10? Well, hang on a second. In Nigeria or in Vietnam, the average annual income is only $2,000. So there are many hundreds of millions of people for whom a $10 payoff is an enormous change to their life. And if they can get a $10 payoff once a week, it dramatically changes their economic circumstance. And that's what we tend to see in play to earn models. You get massive traffic, especially from those parts of the world where annual average incomes are very low. Back to you, Carl.
Thank you very much, Matthew. That's a great point to start us off with today. And Gary, I want to come down to you. I mean, you are investing in various regions in these transformative markets that Matthew had brought up. Are you seeing play to earn as a rising business model in some of those companies that you may be investing in within the region, whether that be throughout Africa or Latin America or South America? Some of those that you've, again, spoken about here previously on VCTV.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, so we're seeing it, Kyle. We haven't, it's just, from our standpoint, crossing the chasm. We're talking about, loyalty. We're talking about time, earning value for time spent. We haven't invested in those companies yet because the ones that we're investing in, for instance, in Nigeria, are purely fintech. But we're seeing it. I mean, we're not as far down the pike as some of the other folks on the panel are today, but we're seeing it, and it's interesting. Right? It's like blockchain was 4 or 5 years ago. So now it's interesting for us, and then we're looking at what are the ramifications? What kind of rules and regulations do we need to understand in each one of the jurisdictions? How can we participate? How much does this really democratize opportunities? What else can it be tied into that makes sense, right? Is it just about gaming, or is it about a whole lot of other things that can be tied together? And so anyhow, we're just at the beginning of it from our standpoint, but we're very interested in it.
Love it. And Alexis, I want to come to you next. I mean, with DLT Capital, you mentioned you've invested about €1 billion across the DLT space, and we'll just summarize that.
We raise money for.
Oh, my apologies.
Yeah.
My apologies. Thank you for the correction. Yeah. Has gaming been a significant part of that, blockchain gaming as a whole? I mean, are you starting to see that as a rising trend, looking for or raising capital in terms of deployment?
Yeah, we have seen a large number of new esports and also in overall gaming companies that are approaching for both early stage seed and Series A rounds. So that's coming. And if you are following the markets, you see that the mobile games accounted for $77 billion in revenues, and the players have gone up with 12% to 2.5 billion. So it's coming rather fast now, and that's why we are looking into this space even more, because we're just following the money.
It's a great point. Adrian, I want to come down to you next on that. I mean, you're working with many firms. You're also building a lot in this industry and have watched it from a blockchain gaming side really migrate over to where it started to where it is today. How do you see things developing with the funds and investments that you're making? But more importantly, where do you see us going when it comes to blockchain gaming and its future as well?
Listening to Matthew, I remembered the days in 2002, 2003, when I was at the ACTS trade shows in London, the famous gaming trade shows, because I was selling physical games at that time. And yes, and I was never a player. I'm more into music, but it was a nice story back then. And I think that crypto gaming is what we are calling the low-hanging fruit in an industry. It's something which was meant to happen, because on one side you have a lot of people playing. On the other side, you have many people who want to build an income. It's not the type of income to a regular job. And with the rise of models like food delivery, like driving an Uber and others, display to earn in the crypto world, it's actually a new type of job in the gig economy. So it's, if you like to play, is that thing, to make money from something you love, which is not common. And if you find something like that, you should go ahead with it. So there is demand, there is supply. So it was normal for investors to come here. It's normal for the platforms to develop like crazy and to prove that, as Gary said, this business model actually can change people's lives, especially in what we are calling underprivileged territories.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Matthew, I saw you on mute. Do you have a comment from what Adrian just said? I heard both of you chuckle as he was out there selling video games not too long ago. Not to date Adrian, but any comments to add on to that, Matthew? If not, I do have a question for you.
Oh, I was just smiling because Adrian said it's quite rare to find things that you love to do. And I was thinking to myself, that's why I'm at LaToken, because I love being here and it pays so well. So
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Appreciate all of you being a part of the VCTV family here at LaToken as well. Matthew, I do have a follow-up. Who is going to dominate, or who's going to help push and drive the future of gaming forward when it comes to blockchain gaming and NFTs? Because we have the infrastructure, so the protocols. We've got even the smart contract layers that are playing a role. We've got identity and authentication. We've got the on-off ramps. We've got the bridges coming in. That's for those who may be tuning in for the first time. We're talking about interoperability, being able to bridge assets from one blockchain network to another. So Ethereum to a Solana for, again, just an example purpose as well. And we have the application side. Who do you think is going to win? I mean, you've been investing in this space. So what are you looking at and what's getting you excited in that?
Yes, thanks for asking. We are very significant investors in NFTs already, and through our funds, we are investors in a lot of, OpenSea, Super Rare, Dapper Labs, Gala, Forte, Animoca, Concept Art House, and others. To answer that question, I think I would start by saying who typically wins in digital entertainment and video games, or the music industry for that matter. In other words, content-based businesses on a global scale. And so some things to think about, and I'm not going to answer the question so much from the technology stack, but some things to think about. You would need to be able to have content or assets that are highly attractive to other people. And those might be the world's greatest brands and IPs. At the other end of the spectrum, you might be very, very creative and able to create the next piece of content that the world wants to hear or watch or listen to. But content does matter, and the quality of the digital asset does matter. You need to have the ability to move massive traffic, to attract massive traffic. And that is very hard. And some people know how to do that and others don't. I do believe that at some point you will want to have interoperability so that your NFTs can travel broader than others, because the world's a big place. And I don't think walled gardens will be the ultimate solution at the end of this. So, you want NFTs that can travel. You clearly need to know how to do this in a legal compliant way, because even in the early phase, if you can break glass, later on, Napster is going to be put out of business. And we'll see the same in NFTs, I expect. So you want to be careful and compliant and understand what it means to create a digital asset that can be traded and can live for many, many years into the future. So those are some indicators. You've got to be able to manage technology on a global scale, and that's not easy. You can't have your game crashing or your NFT platform crashing. It's got to be up and it's got to be always available. And that also means that people have got to be able to trust that it's secure and compliant and readily available and unhackable and all these types of things too, because these assets do represent money and they are valuable. So even if they don't look like currency, these are also financial platforms. They're not just entertainment platforms. Now that we have added in real money economies into what before were walled gardens that weren't connected to the external monetary system. So anyhow, Carl, I'm sort of trying to figure out in real time what would be the characteristics. And so if I were a Dapper or a Forte or something, then I would say, okay, that's my challenge. I've got to build a NFT company and platform with all those characteristics on a global scale. And if I do that, I should have a right to be a winner.
And it's a great point. And just to bring up a big headline we had early in the week as well, OpenSea, who you brought up as being an investor in, launched mobile for the first time. We launched a mobile app as well, which broadens that even further, that availability and that access, as you said. And that's for those who are tuning in. OpenSea is a large NFT, non-fungible token marketplace that is available for anyone to buy, sell, trade, and hold
Yes.
NFTs.
Yeah. Well, that's a great point, Carl, and sorry to hog all the time, but then that's another learning, right? Which is, in video games, it's got to be fun. It's got to be easy to play and hard to master, which means, there's always additional layers, and the users can get in easy, and then they can level up and they can keep on going, and it's rich and rewarding for them. And so these are not flat experiences. I think quite a few of the NFTs of today are very boring. I mean, they're 2D sketched, images that will not really live, as being exciting and high quality art. Concept Art House, where I'm chairman, I mean, they create the world's best art for Fortnite and Supercell and League of Legends, and it's that quality that's needed in NFTs too, if they are artistic in nature. Back to you, Carl.
Right. Well, and we haven't even gotten into that discussion around regenerative NFTs and how artificial intelligence, Mr. Fowler, plays a role into that, which I'll be coming back to. But I want to continue this conversation where the winners may be. Emmanuel, I want to come to you around the technical side of this. Running things on the developer side at Avantis. Talk to us a little bit about where the engineering, the technical aspect of the future of gaming and NFTs is going to be playing a significant role as we look towards the next couple of years here. And then, Gary, I'm going to come down to you, Adrian, and Alexis next.
Great. Great question. I think a few of it has been touched on already by Matthew and the others. On a technical side, you definitely need an NFT to be able to break borders. You need an NFT to be able to travel between different chains, different ecosystems, and then gather all this metadata and then gain value through the metadata that the NFT has connected all over through the ecosystem. I also believe that the rise of the NFTs and in the gaming sector would inspire the next level of games to come out, because now we're going to have games coming out saying, how can we better make games that integrate better with the blockchain on our side? So then we see a fusion between traditional gaming industry and blockchain industries coming together to create games that are revolutionary in the sense of NFTs. So more on the protocol side, you see NFTs that are, like I said, cross-chain, cross boundaries. You also see NFTs that are also able to build and create larger ecosystems for the NFTs themselves. And then more on the play to earn side, you see NFTs that are just able to create more and more revenue for the users, not just based on the games that they are being played in, but for the life cycle of the NFT, the metadata that the NFT has been able to collect in that game as well. And from a technology side, this is how we're looking at the life cycle of the NFT. How does it go from being minted to the point where it's been able to generate revenue? And the metadata, how does that contribute to the revenue as well?
I mean, bringing up metadata, this is just the beginning of that game as well. All puns intended on that joke right there for everybody. But I mean, the metadata that's behind these NFTs, we haven't even begun to touch yet because we're still getting into that infrastructure piece. We've got some new applications coming out that allow for, one-click, right-click, type minting and deployment of a non-fungible token. Seeing more of that, which is that next step in that process before we start extracting the data that, for instance, Apple allowed us to do with the early days of iTunes as well, and MP3s back in the day. To date, all of us on that one. Mr. Fowler, I want to come down to you about artificial intelligence. Matthew and Emmanuel and Adrian all kind of painted this picture of where gaming is going. Matthew brought up the fact of when you play games, you need to level up. And this kind of needs to be an onion of layers that you continue to unlatch. But as artificial intelligence plays a role into that, how will that maybe add to those layers and complexity? Or also how will it maybe change a little bit of the non-fungible tokens in those gaming scenarios as well? Big question.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'll let you go.
So from my standpoint, the games are going to become a lot more exciting because the more intelligence in there. Can you imagine? It's you're going to be nudged all the time, Kyle. It'll understand what psychologically how you play, what you like to play, where you like to play, what kind of scenes you like. So it'll just nudge you and keep you moving forward. It's like the the carrot in front of you all the time, which is exciting for us because it's really become as I like to talk about hyper personalization. But as these new systems, unsupervised and semi-supervised systems come out, it's going to just change everything. And Matthew made a couple of points, and I agree 100%, which, three things I'd like to say is interoperability, right? We're talking about high availability, and we're talking about content. I mean, all three of those are going to be highly important. But the other thing is we got to talk about cybersecurity and to be able to protect it, because having all this money around, having all these assets floating around, we need to make sure they're protected. And I'm not sure today we're doing that good a job of it. And now with quantum computers and AI coming on board, look at what's happening with ransomware. So we have to make sure that security level is taken care of, and we're spending time on it. It's not just about getting the nudges in the game or getting the nudges with the NFT. It's about really having that security in place, because one time that somebody gets taken down, and a lot of whatever assets they have are taken, and it's going to start to change everything. So we better think about it now.
Absolutely. Alexis, tell us your view of where we need to be thinking about in terms of opportunities in the next 3 to 5 years around gaming and its future, along maybe with non-fungible tokens or just digital assets and how they play a role as well.
Yeah, I'm not a gamer, and I just focus on dry facts and also following the money. So what we can see is that the game developers and the enterprises, they need to capitalize on the skyrocketing demand for new gaming platforms, which also demands deeper levels of interaction. So this means that when the new tech is coming in, the mainstream players will need to change the experience. And what we're also are seeing here is that the multiplayer games will be launched online, and that is what will come in the future.
That's a great point. And Emmanuel, I want to come to you first for closing thoughts and where you can be found online. I know you have a lot going on at Inventus in terms of your development activities and just in general with the network itself, but give us some closing thoughts as where you see the future of gaming going, and then where can everyone find you in the company online?
Great, thank you. So closing thoughts. We at Inventus, we believe that NFTs are going to make it. We believe that gaming is going to be have a huge impact on how NFTs are viewed, have a huge impact on bringing people into the ecosystem, into really understanding what NFTs are, because we think that gaming would really give us the freedom to understand how NFTs can be used, how NFTs can be utilized, employed, used to generate revenue for people. So we believe that there is huge. Is gaming going to be the major thing for NFTs? We're not sure, but we know that gaming is definitely going to provide NFTs with that freedom in terms of seeing how users can interact with NFTs in the metaverse. So I'm Emmanuel, Developer Relations Engineer at Inventus. You can find me on LinkedIn, and I'm very glad to be here. Thank you, Carl.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us, or thank you for being with us today. Alexis, where can everyone find you online to continue the conversation?
LinkedIn and also supercap.io and dltcapital.com.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Mr. Fowler. Closing thoughts as the Grandmaster of Artificial Intelligence and potentially the future of gaming here. Closing thoughts, and where can you be found online?
Yeah, so you can reach me, Gary Fowler, on LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram. Kyle, this is an exciting time. We're really at the forefront of really applying artificial intelligence, quantum computers, technologies to be able to enrich our lives and the experiences. So again, from my standpoint, we need to look at cybersecurity. We need to look at security in general, because these incredible technologies are out there, but also we're floating our assets out there so everybody can look at them. We need to make sure that we have those covered. I'd be happy to talk to people. Best way to get a hold of me is on LinkedIn, or check my show out, The Founders Report, on VCTV.
Thank you very much, Gary. Adrian, closing thoughts, where can you be found?
I would like to quote Gary saying that you can find me on VCTV. And lately, VCTV has become like LinkedIn with a lot of video, where these sessions are very well distributed to everybody. And in the future of gaming, I will look especially at the kind of games which can become the new social networks, like to replace Facebook. Not to need Facebook, just to stay there in the game, to also earn rewards and to network with your friends and with everybody. So this is my closing thought. I can be found, of course, on VCTV and on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to answer all questions. I don't answer immediately all the time, but I'll always answer. Thank you very much for having me here today. Can't wait to get back in the VCTV LaToken family metaverse or familyverse, to quote
the family verse. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Adrian.
Yes.
The family verse. We're all hearing it today. Matthew, close us out.
We are building some concepts here. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Matthew, close us out. Closing thoughts. Where can you be found?
Yeah, so at the risk of confusing everyone, let me just leave you with this thought. We have been talking about play, and I went straight to video game. However, there's the global video game industry is about $135 billion, but work is trillions and trillions of dollars. And we can actually gamify work now. So think about that. People, many hundreds of thousands of people work in call centers in places like India and Thailand and the Philippines, and they do work. We can take them out of the call center. We can have decentralized distributed customer support. We can gamify it and monetize it through NFTs and tokens. And you could have decentralized distributed customer service for any company or any platform. And that would be also become play to earn instead of just work to earn. And that's sort of trillions of dollars of opportunity. And I think the world is heading in that direction. More and more of the world's work will be gamified, and things like NFTs and tokens will be used to monetize or allow the workers to monetize their effort. And that is a very interesting dialogue as well. Back to you, Carl.
Wonderful. Thank you all very much for sharing your thoughts and insights and on the future of gaming and NFTs. There's a lot of opportunity, as we spoke about, with play to earn, as Matthew closed us out, and not just in gaming, but in other industries, including work as well. To those that tuned in, thank you very much. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe on today's episode. A big thank you to the LaToken team, to Hasmik and Maria for making today's episode possible. We'd all love to hear from you, so please do reach out, but remember to add context, where you heard us, where you met us, what you would like to continue the conversation about. With that, everybody, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. We'll speak with you more on VCTV tomorrow. Until then, everyone have a wonderful day. Take care.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.